Hello, travelers and monster catchers abound. I'm Stella Ferris, and you've crash landed on the Monster Catchers Journal podcast. Welcome back yet again. The stars welcome you to a beautiful and bright new day. Follie Oaks had always made my skin crawl. Every time the wind shifts through the hollow houses, it sounds like laughter, but not the kind that warms a heart. It's dry and broken, like the echo of something that forgot how to feel joy. Orabeek and I landed near what used to be the town square. The trees there still leaned away from the wind, their bark etched with dark, deep slashes, as if something angry once passed through. My compass spun wildly the moment we arrived. Wind glyph energy, unstable, old. That's when I found it. Inside a collapsed teahouse, half buried under a rotting tatami mat, was an oriental fan, black and green, its silk painted with twisted clouds. I brushed off the dirt, and the moment my fingers touched it, the air went still, completely still. Then came the whisper. "Do you remember the sound of the wind, child?" I froze. The voice was everywhere, in the rafters, in the dust, curling through the empty windows. The fan unfolded itself with a delicate flutter, and a chill swept through the room, carrying petals that shouldn't even exist. Orabeek circled me wearily, his golden wings flickering, not saying a word, since, he can't really talk. "Stell, that's not just a glyph. That's a whispering fan of Kazanora. Locals used to believe it could summon windstorms strong enough to erase entire towns," Zena said. I looked around, the abandoned house, the shredded trees, the eerie quiet. Maybe it already had. "They call this place Follie Oaks," the voice continued. "Once the wind danced here, until they built walls to keep it out. The people stopped listening, so I took back my song." I felt the pressure in my chest, not anger, not malice, sorrow, the kind that lingers for centuries. "I'm listening now," I said softly, "if you'll let me in." I knew it wouldn't be easy to catch the fan. Catching any glyph was never easy. Some fought until your hand shook. Others tried to tear your glyph apart. And a few, the old ones, didn't even fight. They tested you. They looked straight through you, searching for something deeper. This one was later. The fan, Kazanora, the whispering wind of Follie Oaks, was one of those ancient, proud glyphs that carried the weight of forgotten centuries. I'd heard rumors before. An abandoned town where the air still whispered names and wind chimes rang through. No one lived to hang them. Follie Oaks. The last time someone tried to catch Kazanora, their glyphid was torn apart, shredded to bits of data and dust. But I wasn't walking in unprepared. I had ink trek. He wasn't always like this. Before he'd been a metallic monkey, all brass joints and blinking eyes, a noisy little archivist who clung to my shoulder, scribbled findings on a floating hologram. He cataloged every glyph I've met, what they looked like, what they feared, how they fought, and how they changed the world around them. But after the Welling Forge incident, he stopped being the monkey I knew. Something inside him broke when the Forge glyph unleashed a data storm, merging part of his mind with the records themselves. I remembered watching him fall apart, not physically, but spiritually. When the static cleared, his body was gone, and in its place lay a levitating book and quill, black as obsidian and veined with silver runes. Now Inktrek doesn't walk or chatter. He floats, he observes, he remembers everything. "Atmospheric instability detected," he said now, his quill scratching across a glowing page. "Glyph energy levels, severe. Recommended defensive stance." "Yeah," I muttered. stepping over cracked cobblestone as fog drifted between empty houses. This place doesn't exactly welcome guests. Follie Oaks was silent except for the groan of the windmill on the hill. The town's wood was blackened, roofs collapsed, and ivy crawled up every wall. But the strangest part was the sound, like distant murmurs threading through the gusts. They weren't words at first, just feelings, sadness, regret. And then faintly I heard it. Why did you stop listening to me? The wind picked up. The sound wasn't from behind me, it was everywhere. From the shutters, from the grass, even from the spaces between heartbeats. And then I saw her, the fan. It rested on the fountain's rim, green and black silk gleaming beneath the overcast sky. It looked ordinarily beautiful. But I knew better. Glyphs that looked fragile were the most dangerous kind. Visual confirmation. Kazanora, Inktrek whispered, his pages fluttering rapidly. Classification, wind spirit. Historical logs indicate catastrophic gales, originating from the site approximately 72 years ago. That's her, all right. I stepped closer. The breeze died completely, the stillness so absolute it felt wrong. Then the fan unfolded itself. Wind exploded outward, like a living thing, shattering nearby windows and twisting the air into ribbons of emerald light. The fan floated high above the fountain, turning lazily in the air as if inspecting me. You came to take what the sky has forgotten, it said. You came to chain the wind again. No, I said through gritted teeth, steadying myself against the blast. I came to remember you. A low hum vibrated through the ground, shaking dust loose from the ruined homes. The air shimmered with flickering illusions, faces of people long gone laughing and dancing under banners that once hung in the square. For a moment, Follie Oaks lived again. Inktrek's quill paused midair. Temporal echo. Phenomena detected. Glyph is channeling residual memory through atmospheric compression. Translation, I said, ducking under a swirling beam of wind. She's showing me the past. Affirmative. Suggest emotional diplomacy rather than brute containment. The fan spun faster, its green tassels glowing brighter. They stopped listening to my song, the voice cried, layer like a choir. So I sang louder, until the walls broke and their voices were gone. The storm grew wild. Debris tore through the square. I anchored my boots and reached for my captured pyramid, my glyphid. But before activating it, I looked straight into the storm and said, "Then let me be your listener." The wind faltered for a heartbeat silence. Then, like a breath drawn, and after a lifetime of stillness, the fan drifted lower. The emerald glow dimmed to a soft light. I opened the pyramid. Its energy paused outward, drawing the fan gently inside. No fight, no resistance, just acceptance. When it sealed shut, the winds around us softened into a gentle, lingering breeze. The fountain rippled quietly, its waters clear for the first time in who knows how long since we've been here. Capture confirmed. Inktrek said quietly. Destination. Kazanora, whispering fan of Follie Oaks. Emotional resonance. Peaceful. I sank into the fountain's edge, exhausted. Wind burnt, but relieved. The town was quiet again, not haunted, resting. Inktrek floated near me, his pages turning. I remember when I was metal in gears, he murmured. I wonder if she misses her old form, too. I smiled faintly. We all change, Inktrek. But as long as someone remembers us, we're still alive in some way. A soft wind brushes my face, almost like a thank you. And for the first time since the town fell silent, Follie Oaks exhaled. Glyph entry. Kazanora. The whispering fan. Type. Wind/spirit. Appearance. A green and black oriental fan of silk and lacquer, shimmering with faint jade runes that pulse like distant lightning. Temperament. Once wrathful, now mournful and gentle, speaks in the voices of those who listened to her centuries ago. Abilities. Summons wind illusions, commands air pressure, and can conjure echoes of lost times through memory storms. Habitat. Abandoned towns, mountain ridges, or shrines where wind once carried prayer songs. Bond note. Responds to listeners, not orders. When I took the glyphid back to Orion, his face went pale. That wasn't the reaction I expected. Usually when I returned from a hunt, he's all smiles, or he would literally be yelling at me and sarcastic remarks would, ensue. Or he was proud of me, but trying not to show it. This time, though, he just stared at the pyramid in my hand like it was a ghost that shouldn't exist. Lang was there too. He'd been sitting at the observation desk, scribbling reports in his usual messy handwriting. He looked up when I entered, and for a moment I thought he'd jump out of his chair and scream with excitement. But Lang lives for monster catching. It's in his blood. He's the kind of guy who dreams about new field missions and debates glyph theories for fun. But not that day. Not when he saw Kazanora. "What's wrong?" I asked, setting the pyramid gently on the counter. The emerald light inside pulsed calmly, the fan resting in suspended motion. "Beautiful. Harmless. You two look like you've seen a ghost." Orion didn't answer right away. He slowly took off his gloves, rubbing his temples like he was fighting off a headache. "Where did you find this?" he asked, his voice quieter than usual. "Follie Oaks," I said. "The ruins by the western ridge. It was buried near the fountain. Why?" Lang stood up, walking closer, his expression shifting from disbelief to something darker. "Shouldn't have gone there," he muttered. "Not alone." "Since when is Follie Oaks off limits?" I asked. "It's just an abandoned town." Lang gave a hollow laugh. No humor, just tension. "That's not just an abandoned town, Stell. Follie Oaks was quarantined decades ago. Every field report, every aerial scan, even old data files, all redacted. The last team that went there vanished, and the only thing that they recovered, the recovery drones picked up, was whispering in the static." My stomach turned. "Let me guess," I said quietly. "It said her name." Orion finally looked up. His eyes were steady, but his voice was firm, the tone he only used when he was scared, but trying to hide it. "Kazanora isn't supposed to exist anymore. She was neutralized during the Great Containment Cycle. The entire record was sealed in the Vault of Air." "That can't be right," I said. "She's in there, Orion. Alive. Conscious. She talked to me." Lang leaned over the glyphid, studying the glowing fan through the transparent field. The light reflected in his eyes like flickering jade fire. "Then the records were wrong," he murmured. "Or something reawakened her." Orion paced the room, his boots echoing against the metal floor. "Lang, run a resonance scan. See if it's really Kazanora, or some kind of mimic." The hum of the scanner filled the room. Inktrek hovered beside me, his pages fluttering uneasily. "Warning," he said. "The energy signature within the glyphid is fluctuating. There are layered frequencies, not one entity, but several, overlapping." Lang frowned. "That's not normal." Glyphs don't share vessels. They fight to the death over space. The fan flickered. The pyramid pulsed once, then twice, faster. The air in the lab grew colder, stirring loose papers and making the lights tremble. Orion took a step back. Stella Ferris, he said slowly, what did she say to you before you captured her? I hesitated. The words still echoed in my memory, slow but sharp as a blade. Then write my name in the wind. When I repeated it out loud, Lang went completely still. He looked at Orion, then at me. That's not her voice anymore, he whispered. My pulse spiked. What do you mean? Lang's jaw tightened. That's the wind's voice. Before I could respond, the fan inside the glyphid twitched, its silk edges fluttering. Even though it was sealed, the light flickered again, and from somewhere deep inside the device came a faint, haunting whisper. The wind remembers those who listen. Orion slammed the containment locks shut, his expression grim. We're not opening that pyramid again, he said. Not until we know what's really inside. And for the first time in a long while, I saw something in both of their faces that I've never seen before when it came to a glyph. Fear. Orion was about to put the pyramid away in a safe, airlock container when it shattered into a million pieces. It didn't crack. It didn't spark. It exploded. A blinding surge of green light filled the lab, tearing through the air like lightning trapped in a bottle, too small to hold it. The blast threw me backward into the wall, hard enough to make the whole world tilt sideways. I heard Lang shout, then the shriek of twisting metal as containment alarms welled through the station. When the light finally dimmed, the room was unrecognizable. The pyramid was gone. Every fragment scattered like glittering dust. The glyphid containment circle was smoking, flickering with dying energy. And standing in the wreckage, floating in a swirl of green mist, were 7 shapes, shifting, unstable, and wrong. At first I thought they were echoes, energy after images from Kazanora's release, but then they moved. Their bodies rippled like ink in water, constantly changing forms. Sometimes they looked human, sometimes half-formed creatures made of smoke and shattered glass. Their faces flickered between smiles, screams, and black emptiness. Their eyes glowed the same eerie green as Kazanora's fan. They're not illusions, Inktrek said, his pages fluttering violently. They're mimics. Glyph class parasites, born from corrupted memory streams. Lang stumbled to his feet, grabbing a containment baton from the wall. Mimics from one glyph? That's impossible. Tell that to them, I shouted. One of the mimics screeched, its voice distorted like a wind howling through a broken flute. The sound made the air vibrate, and suddenly the lab lights burst, showering us in glass. Orion pulled me behind the control console. His face was pale, jaw tight. They were inside her, he said, hidden. That's why her signature was layered. I glanced over the console. The 7 mimics were spreading out, gliding through the air like smoke with claws. Their movement mirrored each other, synchronized, almost ritualistic. Wherever they passed, papers curled to ash and static flickered on every screen. Lang swung the baton through one, but it passed clean through, leaving only a hiss of green vapor. The thing reformed behind him, grabbing his arm with a sound like breaking glass. Inktrek, I shouted. Analyze! They are fragments of Kazanora's storm essence. Inktrek replied rapidly, his quill scratching symbols across the air. Each one carries part of her. Rage, grief, memory, silence, sorrow, pride, and the void. She wasn't just sealed. She was split apart. One of the mimics turned towards me, its shape flickering into the faint outline of a woman in flowing robes, Kazanora's silhouette. Before warping back into shadow, "Write my name in the wind," it whispered again, "all 7 or none at all." And suddenly I understood. I hadn't captured Kazanora. I'd captured a piece of her, and by doing so, I'd broken the seal that kept the others contained. The fan's silk tassel materialized in midair, swirling like a serpent of smoke, and the wind in the lab turned violent. Monitors ripped free from their bolts. Oxygen lines snapped and whipped across the floor. "Orion, we have to shut down the airflow system," I yelled. He was already at the console, fingers flying over the keys. "Too late," he shouted back. "They're inside the vents, writing the air itself." A metallic shriek echoed from above, followed by the sound of something slamming into the ductwork. Lang backed toward me, panting. "They're spreading, Stell. They're headed for the upper levels." Inktrek's quill scratched faster, the symbols glowing bright white now. "New directive. Initiated. Recapture protocol. 7 mimics. Fragments of Kazanora's soul. Warning. Containment failure will result in atmospheric corruption." I grabbed my gear, my hand shaking. Then we recaptured them before they reached the turbines. If they merge with the wind generators, the entire base becomes a storm, Orion finished grimly. The lights flickered again, and a whisper slid through the vents, soft, mocking, familiar. "The wind remembers you, Stella Ferris." I swallowed hard. "Then I guess it's time I remember it too." We armed ourselves and ran towards the corridor, the air glowing colder with every step. Behind us, Follie Oaks wasn't just a memory anymore. It had followed us home. And that was the scariest part. To be continued. The rest of this episode will be next week, and I hope you enjoy. And may the light of Nibiru shine its beautiful essence down on you. Goodbye for now.